Let me ask you a question about infrastructure and land use. As you probably know, there's a big hullabaloo going on right now in the Middletown area with regard to workforce housing. And several legislators have indicated that they're ready to take up arms against the county to influence land use. Do you think there is a role for the state in land use, specifically around sort of low-cost housing that's being proposed?
Great question. Well, first of all, there's a role for the state because the state ends up paying the bill. And so one of the big issues is we've got to sort of figure out this disconnect we have. The disconnect is that land use decisions basically are made at the local level, but the bill is paid for by state taxpayers. And that's a big issue. It's got to be addressed. That's number one. Number two, I think we do have to we have to encourage more development to take place where the infrastructure already exists. I mean, the best form of farmland preservation, well, there are two great forms of farmland preservation. One is when farmers can be profitable as farmers, and the other is when we can have as much development taking place closer to where the infrastructure exists, the sewer, the roads, the jobs, and so I think it's a pretty important area when we think about how we make the state, how we have a good quality of life in the state.
I guess maybe I have two more questions. One is going back to talking about the plans and all of the things that you have done in the campaign and prior to the campaign, looking to try to capture people on the form of ideas rather than, whatever else people do. Would you be looking at those plans as if you are governor and you are, doing what you are doing, would you be looking at those plans as sort of a place to do some benchmarking of your own, and would you be willing to share that kind of benchmarking with
in terms of benchmarking against the commitments I made?
Benchmarking against your
plans, I think that was always the risk in putting them out in published form, because I don't think I'm going to be able to collect all 3,000 copies back. So that's what I expect to be held accountable for.
Okay, good.
Now, and I shouldn't be I wouldn't be in this business if I didn't want to be held accountable for it.
Okay.
That being said, I also know that I don't have a monopoly on all the good ideas.
Right.
And so if you take healthcare as an example, I set out a vision of what I want to achieve, what kind of results I want to achieve. I also set out a vision for how we get there. There are other people who have lots of good ideas about how we can get there, and I'm going to be more than willing to get those people around a large table to make sure that we're sort of sorting it out. I don't really expect one thing, unlike in business where the CEO, whatever the CEO says basically happens, it doesn't quite work that way in government. So I get to set, a big part of the agenda, but there are going to be a lot of people who may say, don't like that part of your plan. Here's why. Let's consider it that way. And obviously, I'd be more than willing to hear that. One of the things I said yesterday at the debate is one thing I can promise you is anytime I have to make a difficult decision, I will insist that there are people in the room who disagree with me. Very good.
And then I guess my last question would be, Delaware Liberal, we're a partisan blog, and so we would like to know what we can do to help you, not just now, but once you're in
well, let's talk about the second part of the question, because I think that's a critical part of the question. I had an opportunity, I'm convinced that in order to get some of the things done that I want to get done, that we want to get done collectively, the only way we're going to be able to get it done is if I am able to keep a mobilized group of people together. The best example of that I can think of in Delaware is what Russ Pearson did to get the Coastal Zone Act passed. He would not have been able to get that passed if he didn't have an energized group of people, not during the campaign, but after the campaign. And so he used that. I want to do the same thing. Last year, I got to sit down with Deval Patrick, who's the governor of Massachusetts. Very impressive guy, and really
great speeches for Obama, right?
Yeah, great.
Now I'm going to take you under
that. He is an inspiration. So I don't know if you know his background at all.
No, I don't.
He grew up, I think, on the south side of Chicago. in a project, and slept. I don't even know that he had it. I think he slept on like the floor, but he was identified as being very bright. He got, at the age of 13, a group, I think they called themselves A Better Chance, gave him a scholarship to the Milton Academy in Massachusetts. He went to Milton, went to Harvard, had this amazing private sector career, worked for President Clinton in the Department of Justice, just a real superstar. And he got off to a difficult start as governor for totally unrelated reasons, but he's a really inspirational guy. And I got to have breakfast with him last year. And this is one of the points he made to me. He said, make sure you run your campaign in such a way that when the campaign is over, you keep people connected to what you're trying to do. And so I think probably the best answer to your question is that. I mean, obviously, you're going to be holding me accountable, and you're going to be telling me, publicly when you think I'm getting off track, and we'll have those conversations. And I look forward to having that continuing dialogue, because there may be reasons that I'm getting where you might consider to be off track. But I think, the fact is, let's stay focused on the end goal. And if you can keep people focused on the end goal, and if I can have an opportunity to explain to you on a regular basis what my strategy is for getting there, then I think we can sort of mobilize people together.